All right, Alex, my man, dude, what's going on? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just trying to stay warm. Got a little cool front coming in.
Yeah, what is the temperature?
Man, I think I was looking for this week and I think Friday is getting as low as 29 in the morning. So it's been hadn't got over like 55 lately.
Wow. I mean, I'm down here in Florida and it's gonna get cold tomorrow. It's gonna be a blistering 55 degrees tomorrow. I gotta bring out my parka. It's gonna be bad.
Man, I'm roommates with Tommy and obviously he's from Tampa and I haven't heard somebody complain so much about the cold since I've been living with him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I originally from Memphis, then moved to Florida, and I talked about the heat and how it never changes seasons, and now I'm the exact opposite. Like when it's like 50 degrees, I think it's a blizzard outside. So, he'll get used to it. Tell him to tough up. It'll be all right. But man, speaking of cold weather, obviously when we talk about the weather changing, it kind of brings me through the seasons and it kind of brings me to hunting. Um, Obviously you are a huge hunter. I mean, we've done the research. You like to get out there. What is it that is your favorite thing to hunt? And the rumor is that you're more passionate about hunting than you are baseball. I know that's not true, right?
Man, to be honest with you, it's like I I don't even know how to put it, It's I got a deep love for both of them. Like it's just something I've been doing my whole life, both of them. And it wasn't until I stopped playing football really because football is during hunting season. So I played football my whole life, and it wasn't really until I stopped playing football, went straight to baseball, that I was able to really okay, I'm a hunt like seriously. Um, it wasn't until about then, but man, I'll tell you, I love both of them. Uh, I definitely spend a lot more time at baseball just because for me it's kind of a priority deal. Um, and I kind of look at it like I can hunt the rest of my life. You only get so many years to play baseball.
Well, also it's got to be like a release. It's kind of like your get away from baseball. You get to go out there and kind of be to yourself, and you can think about baseball, I guess, but like really, I guess the whole purpose of having a secondary passion is to kind of break away from that primary thing. So, you know, talk me through it. What are the things that you hunt, and what is your favorite thing to hunt?
So obviously, like being from Louisiana, like it's sportsman's paradise pretty much down here. And I mean, I go across the whole country hunting, but I mean, growing up here, I always grew up fishing. So I loved red fishing, bass fishing, you name it. And hunting wise, man, I'll hunt anything. I think I think just that competitive side in me. Uh, that's why I love hunting so much. Like you're competing against something else, pretty much. So I've done everything from hunting alligators, frogging here in Louisiana, duck hunting, deer hunting, hog hunting. You name it, I've probably done it.
Daniel, man, can you look? I mean, we know plenty of people that duck hunt and deer hunt all the time, but he's the first guy I know that hunts gator, bro. That's next level.
Yeah, that's it's kind of scary, like because the way that I envision it, and this is a terrible analogy, but it's the only thing I can relate to is there's a show on TV called Swamp People, and that's what they do is they go around and they like bait these traps and then they like go to these lines and they just start pulling up a line and like they have no idea what's at the bottom of this line. It could be like nothing, or it could be like a 10-foot gator that's gonna try to eat them. Like it's unbelievable. Like the fear that I would have to do something like that. Not doing it, man. Not doing it.
Yeah, they do. They do it on a little bit different level. I'm not. Man, when it comes to something that can get me, that's kind of where I start to draw the line.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to lose any fingers right now. That's for damn sure.
Man,
Yeah,
what LSU star catcher lost a hand while gator hunting?
man.
Man, and I try to work on my hand-eye coordination, like when I'm out there frogging, grabbing some frogs in the swamp at night. But Yeah, I'm not trying to lose any fingers or toes or something by a gator.
No, it ain't worth it. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, I know, baseball, you guys might get to have some time off here coming up. But let's say just randomly Jay Johnson goes, you know what, Alex, man, you guys got the day off. Go do something that you love to do. And obviously you choose hunting. So if that's the case, you got one opportunity to take advantage of it. Where are you going?
So, I mean, you'd probably catch me. My grandfather has a couple hundred acres up in Mississippi. More than likely, you probably catch me in a tree stand hunting a deer up there. But if I had to pick like something I really love to do, you would catch me wading in some water, standing next to some oak trees, trying to shoot some mallard ducks. That is something
Mallard
I
duck.
love.
Let Before we jump into this interview, you brought up something that like really like I've been curious about this. How do you cook duck? Because I've had duck a lot and I don't like it. And I think it's because of how it's cooked. And I think you're either really good and you have your really like super awesome one way to cook it and that's how you do it and it impresses everybody and it's tasty. But like I don't like what is the best way to cook it?
Man, if you told me I got to bring one thing, let's say I got a big girl coming over and like she wants to eat. I'm, I'm grabbing some duck breasts. I'm grabbing some duck breasts. I'm marinating them. I do a marinade with them in a gallon Ziploc bag for like straight overnight, and Italian dressing and Worcestershire sauce or W sauce, whatever you want to call it. I marinate that overnight. Pop it out of there. I'm putting Tony seasoning on it, and then next thing I'm doing is I'm laying out strips of bacon. I'm putting the duck breast on there, putting a little slice of cream cheese on there, putting a jalapeno on there, rolling it up in that bacon, sticking a toothpick in it, and then throwing it on the grill or in the oven. And when I tell you, it's probably the best thing you'll ever eat.
When you had me at bacon. I mean,
Oh,
I don't know anything that's not better with bacon. So if you're cooking it and you're throwing bacon on it, I'm in. So uh
oh,
hope, hopefully, I'll get the opportunity to try that. But man, enough of the hunting, enough of the duck. Let's get into you, man. Let's get the story. Take me back. Obviously, we need to know a little bit about you, so we can kind of capture this journey and kind of understand the context of how you got to where you're at right now. But take me back to, where are you from? Where were you born?
uh, so I was born in obviously I was born in Baton Rouge, and I grew up in Zachary, Louisiana. Um, so yeah, like funny story. My my mom, she talks about it a good bit, but like she was in the hospital, didn't know what to name me. My name was supposed to be Carter. All my brothers and sisters, their initials is CMM, and I was supposed to be Carter Michael Milazzo. And well, she watched some dang movie and she saw somebody. She's like, I can't name him that. Can't get him out of my head. Well, she sat there and she was like, I sat there for like all night trying to figure out your name. And then somebody sent her, they found out about it. It was like one of her friends or whatever she teaches with, and sent her some purple and gold flowers and said, hope to see him playing at Alex Box soon. And that's where she named me Alex. And actually, my initials are ARM, ARM.
I mean, so shout out to your mom. Like you weren't even born yet, and she's setting the bar. She's setting
Yeah,
your expectations for you. That's unbelievable. And what's even more unbelievable is that you're like, all right, cool, no problem. I got you. I'll make that happen. No big deal. I'll just be one of the best catchers in the country.
man,
Gotcha.
believe it or not, she might be the most competitive one in my family. Like,
What? I mean, I see that she was a college softball player at Southeastern. Now, is she like take her in her prime and you in your prime. Who's better?
Oh God, man. She literally tells me like she's like, you better thank me for having an arm. Like she told me she had a cannon of an arm and she was I think she played catcher, second base, right field, and she's a little bitty. Like so like she was telling me stories when she was playing and she was like they throw me back there to catch because I was like the only one that could catch and she's wearing like volleyball knee pads because the shin guards wouldn't fit her.
Holy smokes! Yeah,
Daniel, how
she's
refreshing is it that that mom's getting love? A lot of times it's always dad or granddad or uncle, whoever, but very rarely does moms get love for things other than sports. But in this specific episode, she's getting credit for the athleticism.
Man, like
yeah.
believe it or not, she is the reason I'm not gonna say dad wasn't a good athlete. Like dad was probably a better athlete than I am right now. He was a 4.40 guy in football, Olympic lifter, whatnot. But like I can thank my mom too for being a catcher because we were at 9 years old and I'm playing shortstop or doing whatever, and they got guys stealing one base after another. And she had already went through baseball with my older brother because he's 7 years older than me. And my dad was like, man, I just don't know where to play him or because he was helping coach and our head coach was just like, I don't know where to play him, shortstop, center field, what. My mom was like, put him behind the plate. She was like, look at baseball. There are not many good defensive catchers. You can't find one defensive catcher. And man, I ended up catching at 9 years old, started throwing some guys out, and I ain't left the spot since.
You want to know your fastest route to college? Be a catcher.
No
Be a
doubt.
catcher. Be a good defensive catcher. That's it.
Yeah, I would say that goes for every level of the game too.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
big leagues doesn't matter.
Look,
So
since hey Daniel, since we're not gonna talk about Tennessee or Evan Russell, I gotta ask Alex because we're talking about being a catcher. What are your thoughts on what what Evan Russell had to do this year, where he never played catcher in his life, and then had to be a catcher in the SEC for all those arms?
Yeah, dude, I didn't like watching him. I couldn't tell that he never caught in his life like until that year, and I thought, and after finding that out, I thought it was even more impressive with the staff he was handling and how well he was doing it.
He said he
Like,
was scared to death. He came on here to
yeah,
start that season. He was scared to death. He didn't lie about it. He said he was losing sleep.
yeah,
yeah.
like I don't. It's a stressful. It's just a stressful position. Like I'll put it out there. It's a pretty stressful position. Because I mean you got a lot of weight on your shoulders. You know, handling guys. Like if you look at teams and they got a bad catcher, a lot of times you're going to score a lot of runs on them. Like pass balls, it doesn't matter allowing guys to get to second base. So I mean, it's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and for him to do what he did, I thought that was even more impressive for his first time catching.
Yeah, a lot of different arms that you got to prepare for and be ready for, all different arm angles, all doing different things, different variety of pitches. I mean, you know the gamut, dude. You live it every day. Um, I got to go back though, man. You mentioned, mom and dad were athletes. You mentioned the older brother. Is that the only other sibling you had?
No, I actually have a younger sister too.
Athlete?
She cheers at Southeastern. She we tried to put her in softball, and she kind of just got drugged around for a little bit, following me and my older brother at the ball field. So she was that kid playing in the dirt piles, and my mom put her in softball, and one of the girls, this is like 6 or 7 years old, and we're out there at the park all together. And my sister Claire goes out there for the first practice. My mom's watching her. One of the girls throws a ball to her, and she ducks it. My mom went up to the coach and said, "Hey, we're not having this. Get off the field." She drug her off the field and said, "You're not going to do this," and pulled her off. And then the coach calls and was like, "Hey, we really need your daughter to play. Like, we don't have enough kids or whatever." And my mom goes up to the coach and says, "Hey, I got only one deal, and she's good to go play. You put her in right field. This is in T-ball." The coach said, "I've never had this request before."
Your your mom is a savage, dude. She is coaching this team without even being the coach. She's like, yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, but she's gonna play right field. You
Oh,
know what? She's gonna bat six too. So go ahead and pencil that one in, coach. That's unbelievable. But like it's Jim, it's another one of those instances where can some of these families just sprinkle a little bit of talent to these regular guys?
I mean, he casually dropped his dad running a 4.4 and then being, a lifter. Like, I mean, and that was like the back burner on the side of the rest of the family. That's crazy how much
Yeah,
talent's in that family.
yeah, he's doing Olympic lifting, and I didn't even ask what kind of weights he's putting up, but it's probably
I don't
going to
even
be
want to know. I don't
very,
even want to
yeah,
know.
it's going to be, it'll be just disheartening. I'll just have to go be depressed somewhere. But so as a kid, obviously, Baton Rouge kid, you're named after the stadium. You got to be, an LSU fan. I don't think you had a choice in that, but are you going to a lot of the LSU baseball games growing up? And if so, who was your favorite player during that time?
yeah. So I remember me and my dad would always, whenever I had time between like playing sports, man, we'd always try to go to as many games as possible. Even I remember we went to a couple regional games or super regional games at the box, like Coastal Carolina. When we played Stony Brook, I know there's a bad loss, but we were there, and man, I got to watch a lot. You, I didn't realize it at the time, but I do now. Like how fortunate I was to watch some of these college baseball players play. I'm talking like Rafe Rhymes, Micah Gibbs, Alex Bregman, both Nola brothers. In fact, I watched the Nola brothers in high school when they were at Catholic. I mean, the list could go on, and but somebody I really just watched, and I was like, man, I like how that guy plays is Micah Gibbs. I was
Yeah,
just that bulldog mentality, and somebody else that reminded me of him was a Cade Savick. Uh, so both catchers for them because that's what I played. So I really honed in and watched them a lot, and I just watched them. I was like, man, those guys are freaking bulldogs back there, you
What's
know.
what's important about what you're saying, Alex, is Daniel has told me, in regards to my daughter, and I've taken every bit of this advice. She plans to hopefully play D1 soccer, and he says expose her to the game, let her see it as much on the next level. And so we go see SEC games all the time. We go see Memphis because they're actually a top 25 program. And, she watches certain players, learns different players. We actually, because we have this podcast, she gets to be mentored by some of them or whatever, but it speaks to what you're doing because you're out there watching them and learning from them at a young age. And Daniel says that can never be undervalued by what you can learn by watching those who are already, at that skill level.
No
yep,
doubt. If I had like a son right now, like let's say I'm a dad or something, I'm thankful I'm not, but let's say I'm a dad right now, and like I had to raise a son through baseball, football, whatever. If I had 9 times out of 10, I'm taking him to watch college baseball or college football, and I'm like telling them like watch what these guys are doing, because I think some of that could get lost at times at the professional level, but like when you're talking about like college guys, I think that's some of the best athletes to watch.
yeah, you are very blessed, in a sense that you're growing up in a community where you can go see guys that are going to be at the highest level playing it. Not only currently at their state in college at LSU, they're the highest caliber player in college, but there's a very high likelihood that those guys, are going to move on to the next level. And so being able to see that early, seeing where they're at, seeing what it takes to be there, but also see what it takes to go to the next level. Probably big steps for you, man. But obviously, that probably wasn't the thought right away. You probably started, if I had to guess, what age were you when you started playing baseball?
Oh man, I actually started playing soccer. I was too young to do anything like another mom story. She tried to go sign me up for T-ball at 4 or 5 years old. I think I was 4 years old. She tried to sign me up for T-ball, play with the 6-year-olds or whatever. They wouldn't let me. Too young, like 2 years too young. She tried and tried. Well, eventually I joined like some I couldn't play football either, too young. So other than like backyard stuff and hanging out with my older brother's team, so she signed me up for soccer. It was only my dad was pissed. It was the only sport she would like. They would allow me to sign up for, and she had to lie about my age. Like they didn't take birth certificates or whatever, but she lied about my age. Told them I was like 5 or 6. And I was playing with like 7-year-olds. So yeah, that
I
was like the first thing I did.
I pictured this story a lot differently. I pictured you going, yeah, they wouldn't let me play with the 6-year-olds because I was 2 years too young, but my mom just changed my birth certificate. No big deal. Like,
just forge the birth certificate real quick.
yeah, like that's what I pictured in my head. After she pulled your sister off the field and then proceeded to put her back on the team and tell the coach where she was going to play. I just figured, that was the next progression in this savagery that is your mom, dude. That's hilarious. But obviously you play, and you work your way up. You get into high school. What high school are you attending?
I went to Zachary High School.
So at Zachary, man, you end up being starter 4 years at catcher. You're ranked as the number 3 player in Louisiana. That's by Prep Baseball Report. 2018 and 2019 All-State selection by the Louisiana Baseball Coaches Association. You were then voted to the 2019 Louisiana Sports Writer Association All-State team. You led Zachary in hitting. Your senior season with 432 batting average, you had a 541 on base percentage, 664 slugging percentage, 37 RBIs, 3 home runs, 3 triples, 15 doubles, 27 walks. But even more to all of that, a 2018-2019 Baton Rouge All-Metro selection, 2018-2019 first team All-District 4-5A, 2019 District 4-5 co-MVP and recorded Baseball Factory's #1 national pop throwing time at 1.74 seconds and being named the Rawlings Southeast Region all high school senior first team. Dude, like I had to read that verbatim because there's just so much to it. You like the only way to really summarize all that is you are a freaking stud.
Nah,
That's it.
no.
Yeah.
I was
I,
I was fortunate to have I honest to God, like I was just really fortunate to come up around some when I talk about like great coaches this is before high school, like great coaches, and then in high school have great coaches and great mentors. Like just really fortunate to have those people around me growing up and to be able to teach me not only a game of baseball, but things to life. Like I think a lot of people growing up miss. So yeah, I think my parents did a good job of surrounding me with just great people.
I
Daniel,
think
these LSU guys won't not be humble. It doesn't matter if it's been Cruz, Joe Bear, Beloso, White. Like they refuse to take any credit.
yeah, I mean, humble cats, man. I think what happened is, obviously coaching played a huge part of that, but really the fear from his mother probably was enough to like, I mean, let's be real here. No, I kid. Yeah, I mean, every guy that we have on, every girl that we have on, every athlete says a lot of the same thing. Like it may not be multiple coaches like you're saying or multiple people, but they distinctly have somebody that was like that was the person or those were my people that just allowed me to grow and develop and have a support system to get me where I'm at. Man, I want to ask though, with all that success, all 4 years, just high levels of success, which one of those accolades are you most proud of?
Out of like to be honest with you, like one of my favorite things I can remember in high school was kind of like the leadership part of it was like my coaches, like it for me, it was being like a leader in high school and earning my coach's trust that way. And which I mean, I got to thank a lot of coaches growing up who like prepared me to be a leader, not only in like on a baseball team, but in school and life. What was really cool for me was in high school. My junior year and sophomore, junior, and senior year was stepping into like a leadership role where a lot of guys looked up to me, and like I was able to step into that and fill some shoes because for me it was always more about like I was so focused on high school. I never really was focused on college baseball or trying to get recruited. In high school, like going into high school, I was just so focused on high school baseball because it was such a big deal in Zachary. Uh, but as far as like those accomplishments, like those are all cool, but nobody ever remembers those. Like at the end of the day, people remember what you were like in the locker room and what you did for your teammates. Like that's what is always most important to me, even to this day. It's kind of how my teammates, coaches, and the people around me every day look at me. So I mean, people probably say it all the time. I really don't care about those accomplishments. It's all about like how the guys around me, like the guys I'm around every day, how they look at me.
Yeah, it's one of those things like records can always and typically always do get broken at some point, but
Yeah.
nobody can take away the type of locker room leader that you are, the type of teammate that you are, how you conduct your business on the field, off the field, how you represent LSU when you're going to Chick-fil-A on a random Tuesday, like that's the kind of stuff I think that goes undervalued, especially for, colleges in trying to move to the next level and things that, these intrinsic things that people have that not necessarily everybody does that colleges look for. Obviously you played travel ball, I'm guessing, because it seems like, the more that we hear athletes' stories, the more that we understand. And I think we had a pretty good idea of this, but travel ball means everything, especially getting to the next level. So, who did you play travel ball for?
So I started out playing for a program out of Central Louisiana. It was called the Jackhammers, and so I played with them since I was very, very young. And I played for a guy named Sal Palermo, Danny McGee, and Danny McGee was a guy that went to Denham Springs, K. Doty's high school. Uh, got drafted out of high school, backed up Cal Ripken, played for the Atlanta Braves. That was one of our coaches on our staff. So those two guys were coaching. My dad was always a coach, so uh, those guys had a huge impact on me, not only on the field but more off the field stuff like leadership stuff. And then I also played for Ben McDonald.
Well, I mean, what a like it's a great story, but I mean, God, to be the backup for Cal Ripken and go, I'm never going to touch the field. Ever. Ever. It's just
I remember he
but
told us a story. He told us a story like they pulled Cal Ripken in like the seventh inning or something, and they put him out there. And he said on his way out there, Cal Ripken passed by him and said, "Hey, enjoy it while you're out there because you're not getting back out there while I'm on this."
I mean, think about it, Daniel. We had Ed Easley on here, and he spent 2 years behind Yadier Molina, and he said, he knew he was never going to play, but he spent every minute of the 2 years taking everything he could from being behind the best.
Absolutely. You got to, man. That's if you're lucky enough to, play with, behind, alongside, like you gotta take in that talent. You gotta pick their brain. You gotta soak it all in because you never know when you're gonna get the opportunity. You want to make sure you take advantage of it. But man, Alex, obviously, travel ball, high school ball, your career comes to a culmination when, colleges start approaching. When was it that colleges start approaching you? And was there like one specific like day or event or game where you're like, oh man, like I can move to the next level doing this?
I would say Like my 14-year-old year, we were playing at some big events. I was playing under Ben McDonald. He was coaching our team. I'm the same son as his son Jace. And there was always scouts at our game, even at 14 years old, which is crazy to me. So like kind of got some talks there. And it wasn't until after like my freshman year of high school, I was like, dang, okay. Like after the year, my head coach sat me down and he was like, hey, they got a couple colleges that want to call you. And it was like, you would have thought my jaw hit the floor. Like I was like, what? Like I didn't even know that was a thing. Like they're like, yeah, some colleges want to talk to you. So you're going to have to reach out to them or call them or whatever. So we'll get that set up. And then after that, I think that was after my freshman year. I took a few visits, and then like my sophomore year, I went to a few summer events or whatnot, and then that's when Nolan Kane showed up and started recruiting me. And I remember the game he was there as a playoff game at Zachary, and I saw he was there, and like there's definitely a buzz like in our crowd or whatever, and they're like, "Holy crap, LSU's here!" And that's when I was like, okay. And then we started talking, and took off from there. It's history.
We always ask the guests, what was it about the school that you chose? Was it one thing? Was it this? Was it coaching? Was it the campus? Was it the atmosphere? But for you, like it's hard to ask you that question because when you were born, the answer to that question was already had. Like I don't think you had many options that you could legitimately say like this is a real thing. Like I could go here. As long as LSU was on that list, I'm sure like your list was very short, right?
Yeah, it was done deal. Like it was a wrap as soon as I took my visit, committed day after, really on the spot. It was a wrap once they called. But the craziest thing is like you grow up going to these LSU games, but it never at one point in time like creeps in your mind like, man, I could possibly play here. Like you're 9, 10, 12 years old, and then when it does happen, it's pretty cool.
And that's exactly right where I want to go. The first time you step out into Alex box wearing the purple and gold, what's the emotion, man? I mean, like you just said, as a kid, like it's just something that it was a dream, but you didn't know that it was something that could be real. I mean, what's the emotions? Like I actually like picture you might maybe breaking into tears or something. You're just so like emotional.
Man, honestly, it was a feeling like no other. I can't even describe it. I could describe it like shooting a giant deer is what it felt like, but it was pretty awesome. Not only just for me, but like the people that kind of everybody that poured something into my life on that journey. My whole family's there. My whole family lives here. I got all my coaches that grew up coaching me text me that after that game. So it was really, really cool for me, my family, and those guys that impacted my life growing up. And I don't want to say like, man, I made it, but that's kind of how it was.
So with that being the school, let me ask you, some guys are more nervous, some are more excited for you. Which one is it? Like, is it nervous because it's LSU, or is it just this overwhelming excitement?
That's tough. Like, I'm not one to really get nervous. Like, I play with a lot of guys over the years, and I know guys that get to a point where they're about to throw up or they're throwing up during the game because they're so nervous. And I've never been like that. Like, I've been one to like really just enjoy the moment. And like, when the moment's the biggest, that's normally when I'm playing my best. Like, I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, I bring it up because the very first LSU guest we actually ever had was all the way back in season 1 was Cade Beloso, and he talked about how nervous he was the first time he stepped out there. So for every guy is different, and no matter which way it goes, I would probably be more on the nervous side myself, but everyone's built different. Before we break into full on, LSU baseball, I got a question because I'm really good friends with Kelly Ann, and I know she's a fan of yours, and she even said she had made you a blanket with number 7. You've been using that thing and been getting good use?
Man, I think it's at my parents' house. I think it's at my parents' house. I'm not bringing that to a college apartment, man. I might lose that thing. And just that right there, though, like just that you said that, like how like that's freaking awesome right there. That you got, like, I don't think there's many places that's going on where you got people making you blankets with your name, number, or whatever on it. So I think that's really cool from the support system we have here at LSU. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I try to tell people all the time about the hospitality and just the way the culture is like family, and that's just a perfect example. I mean, when I go down there, like yeah, obviously I'm a fan. I know a lot of the people, but man, each time I come down there, even when I came and watched y'all just a couple weeks ago, man, next thing you know, I'm in a conversation with a group of men that like I don't even know. I somehow got led into it, and then like we're having a full on conversation, and you would think that I've known these guys for a long time, and it's just because that's just kind of the way it is. And everybody treats each other like family there. When you're at the tailgate, it's the same thing. Everybody's offering up food and drinks. They don't necessarily got to really know you, and it's LSU's just it's a whole different thing. But for you, when we talk 2020 with most guys, it's hard to talk about because of COVID, but you have something really worth talking about because, dude, you hit your first home run in college in Minute Maid Park against Baylor. Tell me what that's like to hit your first home run in a big league park.
Man, I'm actually really glad I hit that home run because I missed a sign early in that game on the base pass, and Coach Maneri was he's about 10 feet up my butt right there during that game. So he was on my ass during that game after I missed that sign, and like I knew I had to make up for it. So after hitting that home run, I was like, oh God, thank God. It was like a weight got taken off my shoulders after I hit it because I thought he was gonna kill me. But yeah, that was pretty cool. It's pretty special.
I mean, because that's a big park. I mean, I went and watched y'all this year in the Shiners Classic, and to just use Dylan Cruz for example, he hit the warning track twice and got out. I mean, it's a bigger park, so for you to take 1 yard really says something.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was cool. It was like outer body experience. Like as a freshman, I think there was like 20,000 people at the game or whatever. Uh, it was a really cool moment for me, and man, it's one of those feelings like you just can't describe. You know.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't have it on the notes to talk about later, but since we're talking about Minute Maid Park and talking about LSU, just how cool was Jordan Thompson's this year? That I mean, Jordan
Dude,
Thompson isn't known for just being, a monster bomber. He absolutely teed that thing off.
dude, that's probably one of the coolest videos I've seen. Like when you like that 2019 LSU football team hype video from the
Mhm.
national championship, like that's a cool video. And you look at that video's badass. Like pimped it, watched it. You got people screaming all over the place, and dude, that thing was he
Yeah,
launched it, freaking awesome.
yeah, the fan base was deep there. Like I said, I was there, man. Like I didn't expect that from him, man. The way he had hit that, I was like, oof. But yeah, no, that's really cool that you did that. And then worth noting, man, you had a multi-hit game against Texas, right after that. So man, just in a season that got lost with COVID, you still managed to make your mark, in a big league park against two big time programs. And so just a really cool way to get your career started. But we get into 2021. You played in 52 games. You started 47 at catcher. Batted 135. We'll address that in a minute. But you threw out 14 runners trying to steal and picked off 2 off the base path. So we'll start with the batting average, man. Obviously we've seen the numbers in high school. And you've been a very honest person. So man, explain to us why such a drop off.
Yeah, man. Like I think I got to the point where I was almost and I'm not one to pass blame on anybody. Like whatever I do on that field, that's by my own doing. Or I'm a firm believer in that, and like you control your own destiny. I'm a firm believer in that. But I got to a point where I was just listening to so many things, and just trying to do too many things. And then obviously baseball's a failing sport, but like I was failing more than I should or have in the past. Because I mean, I've been a hitter my whole life. And then once I started going down that slope, it was like I got to a spot where I just felt like I couldn't get myself out of it, got in my head. And for college, and for any baseball player or any athlete, it's like one of the worst feelings is when you're failing and you feel like you're all by yourself on an island. Nobody can help you. Man, I almost went in like a depression, but the competitive side in me took over. And I was like, all right, I'm failing on this side of the game, but there's two sides of the game. So I took it, and I think you said I still started in like 47 of the 52 games catching or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I took it to the part where if I'm not helping my team here, how can I help them here on defense? And I've made it a point to myself that I'm going to be the most unselfish baseball player. I'm going to put a brick wall between those two sides of the game. I'm going to put a brick wall, and I'm going to see how many runs I can produce as a catcher or save. So I think there's a stretch there, and I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I value catching a lot, and I value the impact you can have as a catcher, not only on that pitcher, but saving runs. So I made it a point that nobody's going to steal second base. Nobody's going to steal third base. I'm not going to have any two-strike or third strike pass balls. I'm going to keep every ball in front of me, and I'm going to keep that runner at first base. That way, when there's a base hit, there's not a guy at second base that's going to score. So I put up that brick wall, and it was tough, man. It was one of the toughest things I've been through, and I think it made me a better player because of it, because now I know how to handle – I always knew how to handle failure from coaches in my past, but that was a real test for me mentally and everything. Like you got guys coming at you left and right on Twitter DMing you or Instagram DMing you, coming at your neck. And I think that right there made me definitely a tougher baseball player. And it kind of took some fear out of my mind where it's like, man, what if I fail again? Who cares?
Like, yeah, no, everything you're saying has such validity. I'll use two guys who have no problem that they've spoke on it. Cameron James and Josh Hatcher from Mississippi State. They talked about it, the amount of the pressure, but then the amount of coaching, and everybody's trying to one way or the other. And ironically, both of them, Josh ends up going to Kennesaw. Cameron stays in Mississippi State, but both of them had the same answer to how they fix it. And they said it's kind of, it's not disregarding the coaching, but they kind of just blocked out all that, and they just kind of went back to what they know, and they just tried to free swing and not overthink it. And they said they kind of just went back to having fun.
And yeah, that's one thing I would say about it is like, I've been playing something I wish I knew now. Well, I know it now. I wish I could have told myself at that time. It's like, dude, like you've been a baseball player your entire life. You've been a dude at the plate your entire life. You've always been a hitter. You haven't just been a catcher. You've always been a hitter. Trust yourself. Trust your preparation and go out there and have some fun. Quit worrying about if you get a hit, if you hit the ball hard. Go out there, have some fun, and believe in yourself and have some confidence at the plate like you always have. And like I got to the point where it was like once I started having some failure, I felt like everybody, and I'm not even talking about my coaches on my coaching staff, like everybody from the outside was trying to put in input, and I was just coachable enough to kind of listen to everybody instead of like blocking out all that noise, and not so much like people trying to help me have an impact on me, but instead of just going back to who I am and kind of how I got myself to be stepping in a batter's box in the SEC,
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talk about, like you said, the catching side is what kept you in it. And, I said the numbers, and you talked about, just how much of an impact and how you felt how important that was. So let me ask you, man, you are a very confident guy, but not an arrogant guy. But I got to ask, do you like Do you want guys to go on you? Like, do you get excited about the thought about guys trying to make the jump on you?
I'll be honest with you, like, um, I try to be like the most humble person outside of the field, uh, but when I'm on the field, like, I definitely have this like arrogance going through myself and like and this confidence and like almost want to say swagger, but like it's almost like a killer mentality like my parents installed in me at a young age that like you go out there and you beat everybody's freaking ass and you compete your ass off and you're going to be the toughest, baddest dude on that field at all times. No matter what happens, you're going to be the toughest and baddest dude on that field at all times. So I've carried that with me throughout the game, and they've also made sure I've remained humble outside that field and became a leader and stuff. So I can't thank them enough for that. But back to your question, yes, I do. Like when somebody gets on first, I look at it as a freaking challenge. I'm like, if you try to steal or your coach gives you the steal sign, it's telling me one thing. They don't think I can throw you out, and I take that personally. And that's just something. That's how I was raised, and that's how I always be because I was raised on a football field and raised with a football mentality, and that's what I bring to that catching position. That's how I've always played baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm sitting here scrolling the schedule and I'm not seeing it. And if it's not there, I'm gonna be disappointed. Yeah, y'all don't have Vandy on the schedule. Man, I would like to see you throw out Enrique, man. That's
That
the one right there.
that'd have been a fun challenge for sure as a catcher.
Hey, SEC tournament somewhere you never know. You could be in a regional, super regional, might cross paths, throw that guy out, and then you can really state the claim to how badass you really are. So as a team that year, y'all went 38-25, ultimately fell in the super regionals to Tennessee. But before we get to the postseason, just on that season, what was your favorite series of that year? And I like talking to the guys about the other ballparks. Me and you were actually having a conversation before this episode started. So what was your favorite series, and then what was your favorite ballpark that y'all visited?
Uh, I'm trying to I'm trying to think back to that year, man. I remember I think it was Ole Miss. We went there and took 2 out of 3. It's kind of ironic.
Yeah, I was there, and I know how you didn't take the third one, and that didn't set well
Yeah,
set well at all. But that's the 9-1 game that they came back. But the first two
yeah,
games y'all handled.
yeah. That Friday night game there, it was a cool atmosphere, man. I'm not gonna lie, really cool atmosphere. And then one of my favorites was that Oregon regional. That was awesome for me, losing the first game, then coming back and winning the rest out, and that was a really fun time.
Yeah, and so that's where I was actually going to go next. In that regional, regardless of the prestige that LSU has, and everybody knows that every year that they're a team that you don't want to play for whatever reason. Most analysts counted y'all out going up there to Oregon. So with that, just how cool was it to go up there, against the odds and what people believed, and then take them in their house.
Yeah, man, that was it was that first game was really weird. I know a lot of athletes can relate to this. Like, there's just some games you get like a weird feeling in, or that Gonzaga game was like one of them. Submarine pitcher throwing like 84, 86, and just, I mean, call it what it is. He pitched really well, and they beat us that game. They played better than us, and they ultimately beat us. And then, man, it was a lot of fun making that run though. And it was really cool. Oregon's a good baseball team. I don't think they get talked about enough, but they were a really good baseball team. They played the game hard. They had some good ball players, good coaching and stuff. So that was a tough series. That 2 games we had to beat them back to back, and it's tough to do in college baseball. Like, it's not like football where LSU could play whoever 10 times out of 10. They're beating them 10 times out of 10. Baseball's like sometimes it can be a flip of a coin, or anybody can beat anybody. So it was tough to do, but we did it, and it was a lot of fun doing it.
Well, one of the cool things is Daniel will have to remind me of the bar, but I happened to actually be in Tampa visiting him during that series, and we got to watch together. Me and him got to watch. I believe Fontenot closed the door on the on the game in which y'all sealed it, and me and him got to do it together. He got to see my excitement. He was rooting for LSU, obviously being with me. And so, what was it? What was the name of the arcade bar we were at, Daniel?
It's called Reboot.
Reboot. So yeah, Alex, me and DB we were at Reboot, and we got to watch it together. And me and him don't, with him being in Florida and me being in Mississippi, we don't just necessarily get to sit around and watch baseball together. But that happened to be the series we get to watch together. So just a cool little side story to that. We got to watch y'all take care of business. But with that, it's a good thing that our other host isn't here, because then y'all went to Knoxville, and he loves to talk trash about this series, and things didn't go so well, man. It's clear y'all got swept earlier in the season there, and then things just kind of went sideways. You could tell the bad blood that had kind of carried over from the regular season to that series. So what was it just like going to their house again? And was it just one of those things that, I mean, if you're calling it what it is, they were just the better team?
I mean, yeah, they had a really good team, and I'm not gonna be one to admit that we like. I don't want to admit that they had a better team than us or
But when you
not.
lose 5 times to a team, it's kind of writing on the wall, right?
Yeah, we actually played them pretty close the first game, and it didn't help that going through it. It kind of hurt us going through that regional in Oregon, that you had to play all those extra games instead of just winning in 3. I think we played 5 games. So actually, Landon Marceau came back after the day before or 2 days before, the day before he threw like 130 pitches. He actually came back and closed the last 2 innings of that Oregon game on like a day and a half rest.
That's right.
And
So when I brought up Fontenot, he closed the first win, not the second.
Yeah, Landon Marceau comes back and closes it. We had pitchers coming back like on short rest. So, and then it's another short rest because we played into like Monday, I think. So it was a short rest getting in that series. We went in with a kind of short pitching staff. Like, guys, our pitchers retired, so it had been tough to do. But I wish we would have done it. But yeah, Tennessee definitely they had a damn good team that year, and they just played better than us.
So, obviously the big thing that comes of that is, it's Paul Maneri's last game, his last series. He's retiring out. For you especially, you're not just someone who comes into LSU, but obviously a fan. And, so Paul Maneri's got to be more than just a coach. It's got to be a pretty big deal, and somebody that, you have a legendary status for, rightfully so. So like, just how hard was that, watching it be over for him, and obviously the talk that he had with y'all as a team?
Yeah, it's he kind of prepared us for it. Like, he had that talk with us before the selection committee show to go to Oregon, before we got selected to go to Oregon. So he had that talk with us, and it's always tough when you lose at the end of the year, and you're already losing some teammates that you'll never play with again. So that's already tough, and it's even tougher like losing, because normally once the head coach goes, normally a lot of the other coaches go, so it was tough. I mean, those are the guys that recruited me here, believed in me, and that's who I was playing with every day. So it's always tough when that happens. And speaking about Coach Maneri, I owe him a lot of credit for a lot of who I am today. On the field, off the field. He helped me become an even better catcher by just believing in me, always being on me about just being great back behind the plate. And he always stayed on me. And, he was very tough on me, but he made me become definitely a better catcher. So I can't thank him enough, and even better person in life. So great coach. And, it was tough to play for him that last game.
Yeah, well, and one more note on the Tennessee thing, man. I actually I'm a multitasker. While we're talking, I'm texting. Anyway, Evan Russell told me to tell you that you're one of the guys that he looks up to in regards to catching. And obviously with him being an older guy, an upperclassman, that's still cool, because he's looking around the league, learning from guys. And so just so he gave the tip of the cap to you. But
And That's really cool for me, 'cause that dude did an awesome job with the pitching staff he handled.
So Jay Johnson comes in, man, high caliber coach, doing big things to Arizona. So there's a lot of excitement, even with Paul, leaving. But this past season, you only play in 12 games because you're hampered by a knee injury. Talk to us about the injury and where you at now.
Yeah, so that was really tough. It happened against Texas, I believe, in the 8th inning. Yeah, I think it happened in the 8th inning against Texas in Minute Maid, and it was actually on a pitch cross up. I called a slider and a two seam was thrown, so obviously I was moving to my right to go catch it, and my left knee went in to go catch the ball, and when it two seamed, when I went back that way, my knee just collapsed and gave me. I felt something pop in there, and I knew something was wrong instantly. Like I felt that immense burn and got sick to my stomach, and this was with like nobody out, and so I tried to run to go back up first base on a ball in the infield, and I like could not move. And I passed by our coaches were right there. They're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, "I just blew out my knee." And I just kind of hobbled back there behind the plate and finished catching that inning. And I remember coming off the field in tears, like crying, just because like I knew something wasn't right with my knee. Like I knew it was something bad. I knew like it wasn't right, and I've never felt anything like that before. I mean, I've been catching since I was 9 years old, never had a knee injury, but I knew right then like something was really wrong. So it was definitely emotional for me. And then, believe it or not, like I tried to come back. Like most guys can come back after 4 weeks, on an MCL injury. Most sports, but catching's the only position that's like I guess it's just different with a catcher on MCL. So like I rehab, try to come back, hurt it again. Rehab, try to come back, hurt it again. So it was a very emotional season for me, a lot of up and downs.
So high insight, would you have not tried to rush yourself back and possibly if you would have done it maybe a little bit longer, you might have somehow got back before the season would have been over, you think?
Well, I wish I'd have just had surgery right off the jump instead of just and like but I got to give my hats off to our training staff. They did an awesome job with me trying to get me back on that field without having to do surgery, because obviously surgery is not the way you want to go with anything. But yeah, I mean, it's all what ifs, like. But I talked to not Aaron Nola, Austin Nola, and he had the same injury, MCL injury. And I actually called him on the phone, and he was like, I was talking to him about everything. He was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "I had the same thing," and he was like, basically told me you're going to be out the rest of the season. And that's kind of when it set in for me after talking to him about it. And he was like, "That's not something you can rush back and try to come back on. Like you have to just fully heal it." I ended up having surgery after the season anyways to totally go in there, fix everything, be 100% sure, and like do whatever I had to do just to come back and know 100% sure that I'm good to go. And now I like first week of the fall, I was 100%. That's right when I got back.
Yeah. So as far as last season, while you're hurt, are you still traveling with the team and on the road for most of the series?
Yeah, I traveled for most of them. I didn't get to make a few just because me trying to rehab, my knee. So that was first priority, trying to just get back. And then once I did travel to a lot of them, like Florida. The only two I missed, I think, was like Mississippi State and Arkansas, because I was trying to rehab and I was working with my trainers on the weekend and stuff to try to get back.
So that means you made Vandy then, at least, because
Yeah,
that one was the fun one, right?
yeah, I did, man. I was a cheerleader in that dugout. I was having a good time. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I was telling the guys it was an interesting dynamic, man. I saw something that I had never really seen before. Usually you get swept out by a team, everybody is saying all the negative things. And I was there for the series against Ole Miss and Baton Rouge. And I'm sitting there, with all the dads, George Cruz, Roddy Beloso, Jock, Joe Bear, all them, and nobody's saying anything negative. They're already talking about, all right, we got to focus on Vandy. Let's start go ahead and planning that up. Got to get these guys' mind right and everything. Didn't even focus on the series. Didn't say anything negative, which is just unheard of. Usually, everybody's wanting to pass blame, talk negative, this, that, and the other. And I thought it was cool because then you see what happens at Vandy that next weekend, and it was like that's what happens when you just focus on that next weekend instead of harping on the negative of that past weekend. And then, I mean, y'all went into Vandy and absolutely shellacked them. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the leader of this program, which is Jay Johnson or Coach Johnson. And Coach does an awesome job of not only preparing us physically, like putting us in the best place physically, but he really preaches, and not only just preaches, but like he does it himself. He brings in people to help us on the mental side of the game, and I think that's something that lacks in a lot of baseball players. But he's very big on the mental side of the game, and it's always about the next pitch and right here, right now. Like you're where your feet are, and like after that series, yeah, he was pissed off. We all were after the Ole Miss, but that next day we're going back to work at practice, and we're fixing the things we needed to fix, and it was moved on to the next game instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so ultimately, regionals, you go to Hattiesburg, and I mean, I'm gonna shoot you straight out. It's because we don't have any Southern Miss guests, so I'm not really worried about it, man. That place, oh, it was hotter than Hades, dude. It was a dump. Like everybody's packed in on the bleachers like cattle. It was tough. If it wasn't for George Cruz keeping me constantly hydrated, I might have died there. I'm telling you. But I got to be I got to be there for the first two games, and I mean, y'all really took care of business, and then had to come back home. Unfortunately, watched obviously how it unfolded, but we've had Razelman and Gervais and Joe Bear and other guys since then, and it seems unanimous, and it doesn't sound like anybody's salty, but it seems pretty unanimous that everyone felt like y'all were the better team. Y'all just didn't close it out, and would you say you felt the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's baseball's a funny game. It's not about who has the best team; it's about who plays the best that day. So, I mean, it is what it is. Can't do nothing about it now.
Yeah.
You just kind of learn from it, and I think it makes you that much more conscious about being prepared for that day. You never know when it's going to be the last day or last game you're going to play. So, I think you can learn from everything. Failure, positives, you can learn from it. So it happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you can always learn, but what I like is that it did leave y'all with this hunger coming in this season, talking to all the guys, and when you talk about the talent that y'all have coming back, and then obviously the talent that came in, everyone knows about the bats, especially with Cruz and White and company. And Coach Jay Johnson has the hardest, job probably in the country, because you guys got 20 dudes that you got to fit into 9 spots. Like, I mean, it is real. But what I want to talk to, because everybody's very aware of the amount of bats y'all have. I want to talk about the pitchers, because you're a catcher and you get to see these guys, you get to catch for them all. First, let's talk about the big name, because I've been there twice to watch him pitch now. Dude, just talk to me about how electric Paul Skeens is, man.
Yeah, that dude's a freak. Uh, you know, dude's a freak. I mean, I remember during this fall, it's like I'm catching him on Friday on a Friday inter squad, and he's throwing 97, 99, 3 pitch mix. I look up, it's Saturday, and dude's got 2, 3 home runs. I'm like, what's going on here? But that dude, he's electric. But outside of on the field, he's even a better person. He's a great dude, great locker room guy, and he's one of those glue guys. And you know, hard worker too. So
Well, I was at that McNeese game and you were catching for him, and to your point, man. So he comes out. I remember exactly. He comes out 8 straight fastballs, and he starts at 96, and he gets all the way up to 100. I felt like, because I told these guys, I said, first one was 96, this 97, this 98, and it kept jumping every pitch. And I thought, at this rate, he's going to be pitching 110. But then he drops at 78 mile an hour, and I couldn't really tell what he threw exactly. But I just watched the batter for McNeese swing like 2 seconds early, because all they had seen was heat, and he was completely fooled. And I was like, man, when you have that in your arsenal, when you're pumping fastballs, and then, like you say, you got the secondary and third pitches. I mean, they're so nervous about that heat coming, and then you just drop the kitchen sink on them, and it's a wrap. So that was cool to see. I've gotten to watch Ty Floyd pitch a couple times. He's obviously looked great. So outside of those two guys, who else has really impressed you? And then also, I want a name of a guy that maybe people don't know about that's under the radar.
cool. I'll start with the under radar guy just because like has really impressed me this fall, and he was a transfer. Nate Ackenhausen, left-handed pitcher. That dude is a bulldog on the mound, and he's got just he's a left-handed pitcher, which you don't find left-handed pitchers normally in LSU baseball. Like I watched growing up, and we never really had. I felt like every year I was watching and I was growing up, we never had like left-handed pitchers. Well, now we do, and Nate is man, he doesn't have like he's not going to sit up there and throw 99 or something like that, but he's going to mix fastball, slider, changeup, curveball, whatever. And he spots up, and he's got a fast tempo. And that's something that's really stood out to me this fall. And then, I mean, outside of those two guys, I can go down like outside of Ty Floyd and Paul Skeens, like the guy you named. Like, man, I feel like I can list 10 guys, and
Just
it's like
give me a couple. I mean, I know Collins has looked good.
Collins, Grant Taylor, Thatcher Hurd, Christian Little, Blake Money's looked really good this fall, Riley Cooper. And I hate to forget some people or whatever, but like there's literally just so many guys that have done a great job.
Well, what's cool about what you're doing, right? So you're naming these guys, and you're saying, you haven't even named them all. And that's the question mark. And that's why I wanted to ask, because everybody's spending a lot of time talking about the batting lineup. But LSU's got some arms, and if the arms come together along with this batting lineup, I mean, we are obviously know we're not crazy to talk about what LSU could be. And so, with that, I mean, I feel like personally, I know how you guys feel. I mean, I feel like it's probably a championship or bust season with what y'all have. But I'll end with this, and then I'll let Daniel play a game with you. You got the Fall World Series coming up this weekend at the Box. First of all, which team are you on, and are y'all taking this thing?
And I'm rocking with Kate Beloso, purple team. Man, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. We're taking it. I want to take the clean sweep to them. Clean sweep.
Yeah, don't waste any time. Don't leave anything to chance. Just go out there, take them, be done with them. Establish dominance early.
We're gonna put their face in the dirt, spit on them a little bit, do whatever.
Man, that's what's up, man. In this fall the right way with them face down in the dirt. So, all right,
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Culmination to a lot of hard work in the fall, and you guys get to go out there and do your thing and have fun while doing it. You might hurt some feelings along the way, but they'll have a month or so to get over it, where you guys get back loaded. Alex, man, let's before we get you out of here, let's finish this thing strong. Let's play a little game called This or That. You down to play?
Yeah, I haven't heard this game, so walk me through it though.
All right, very, very simple. So, like, you're a smart guy, but not every guest that we have is the smartest, so we got to make it easy. So, I'm gonna give you two options. All you have to do is be decisive in whatever speaks to you pick that option. Just
Let's
be decisive. Can't say both. Can't say neither. Just pick one option and let's go. So, first question. All right. Given that you are in Baton Rouge, I'm sure that you can answer this. Would you rather have pastelaya or jambalaya?
pastelaya.
What
I
is
bet
it?
I bet his mom makes the best pasta because she seems to be the goat across
Yeah.
My
What is
mom,
it?
my mom could burn Eggo waffles.
the.
Dad does the cooking. She ain't very good, man.
Hey,
There we go. Point for dad.
finally, Dad's on the scoreboard. All right, he's got his come up. He's coming up on the back end of this episode. Who who hits better bombs, Tommy White or Dylan Cruz?
Jesus, I'm about.
Can't say neither or both, man. This is why we play this game.
Damn.
Look, the answer is simple. Who is on your team?
Yeah,
Who's
I'm
on the
rocking.
purple
I'm
team?
rocking with Tommy, man. He's my
Yeah.
roommate. Love them both, though. Love them both.
Absolutely. Would you rather do saltwater fishing or freshwater fishing?
Oh, saltwater.
What's your favorite thing to catch?
Big old bull red.
Oh, red. Nice.
Big.
What is your favorite uniform? If you had to pick one, would it be purple, gold, or white?
I'm rocking with the purple jersey, pinstripe pants.
Oh, okay. Purple. I like it. I like it. Would you rather attend a concert or sporting event? And what I mean by this isn't just like a you know concert in the park or a Tuesday night co-ed softball game. This is like a bucket list concert or a bucket list sporting event. Got to
We're talking
pick one.
junior right here, like throwing down. Hank Williams Jr., Merle Haggard, Morgan Wallen type. I'm taking the concert.
Concert. Wow, that's Hank Morgan Wallen. Man, it'd be an incredible night for you, man.
But I like Daniel. He was, a lot of people will say that, but then they got to think about who it is and would say he was already decisive. He had his list. He was ready.
He knew what he wanted. All right. Would you rather be a hero or a villain?
Oh, hero.
Who is your favorite hero?
Ooh. Trying to think, man. I'm probably gonna go with like Thor.
Back to back. Dang, Redmond Walsh from Tennessee said the same thing, and that had never been an answer prior to in this whole season.
Hey, it's who's Ryan? What is it? Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. That's the one right there. That dude's freaking hilarious. I don't know if he's a hero though.
It's debatable, but hey,
I'll take it. All right. Who wins in football? LSU or Georgia?
Go Tigers.
There you go. Smart answer. You got to say it no matter even if you don't believe it.
What I think is funny is Jim wrote that question in here, and him being the LSU fan, and it's just very fitting how he just skipped and negated the fact that football game may not even matter because they may not even beat UAB this weekend.
Dude, shut up.
They may not even beat Texas A&M.
No matter what they play, Georgia, so the game will matter. So if that was to happen, Daniel, if we were to lose to either of those other two, we would still be out to play spoiler, my guy.
I would rather lose to UAB than A&M now.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Dude, it wasn't even on this list, but like Harold Perkins, man, Alex talks to me like unreal, right?
Freak.
He's pretty good. He's no Devin White, but he's pretty good.
See, See, look, I told Alex I never thought anybody would wear 40 and play linebacker at LSU like Devin White did, and then here he comes. Here comes Harold, and I'm like, my God, was I wrong?
Yeah.
Would you last question, all right? And this is a thinker. You gotta think about this. Would you rather have massive success by accident or modest success on purpose?
Man, probably modest. Yeah.
So what you're saying is, all right, if I'm hearing you right, you want modest success, but you want to earn it.
Yeah, like I'm one of those guys. Not
He,
much. I
he's
don't
fixing
care.
to flip it on you, Alex. Hold on.
So
Let him go and go say what he's gonna say.
so
All right,
you're one of those guys. Well, tell me if you're one of these guys. I said, hey man, I'll give you $100 million right now. Here you go. Or you can go out and earn $20 million. Which one are you gonna choose?
I mean, that 100 million's cool and all, but like when I earn that 20 million, it's gonna mean a little bit more to me in my honest opinion. And I'm not
Look,
just because it sounds like a cool answer or something, but like I'm one of those guys that like when you earn something, it definitely feels a lot more better than when something's just given to you.
So Daniel, you got Alex Milazzo and Ben Joyce who are gonna earn their money. Everybody else is taking their 100 mil.
look, Alex, let me tell you this. Pride means a lot, but it's got a price tag, and 80 extra $1 million is definitely well within that price tag. I don't give a damn about pride. You gonna offer me $100 million to do nothing, or tell me I can work my butt off and go get 20? I'm gonna do nothing and take 100.
Actually, I forgot. There's a third. Hunter Hines did from Mississippi State too. But Alex, you'll like this. You'll appreciate this. He said 20 million goes a long way in the state of Mississippi.
Wow,
Yeah,
true,
ain't crap to do there.
man. Alex, dude, we don't want to keep you any longer. It's been a great episode. Is there anything before you get out of here, anything you want to plug or promote?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm like, hey, I enjoyed it, man. It was fun.
Look, see, I always got to be prepared because I know you humble cats will go out there and go, no, I'm good. There's nothing out there. But I got to say it for everybody out there listening. If you want to see Alex Milazzo, you want to see what he's doing on the weekend, on a random Tuesday, what he's going to do when he gets off this podcast, I want you to go on over to IG, type in Milazzo_7, and you'll get to see all that hunting, fishing, baseball, hanging out with friends, eating dinner, you name it. He's doing it. So if you want to get into the world of Alex, go check him out on Instagram. Or if you want to see what LSU baseball is doing, check out LSU baseball on Instagram, man. Alex, dude, it's been a blast. If there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out to us, man. We'd love to have you back when the season's going on or after the season or, before the season. Who knows, man? We'll have you back on anytime. Just let us know.
Well, before I go, I just want to add one thing. That way I don't get in trouble. I want to say my dad is a good coach. He did help me out. It wasn't all mom. So dad's a great coach, had a big impact too. So I don't want to get in that phone call if he watches this.
Alex, you're doing good, man. Like I said, the dads always get the credit, man. You did good this episode. Moms needed some shine, bro.
Yeah. And we joke a lot, obviously mom, the stories were great, but we know like there's definitely a dynamic. You can hear it in your voice. You can hear the passion, like the love and the support that your family brings you, man. So I don't want to discredit anything that they do. I just, I'm sure um, they were both just huge driving factors into you being where you're at today, man. So shout out to them for, having you, making you basically the character you are. You've been great all night, dude. We appreciate it.
No, I can't thank y'all enough, man. It means a lot for y'all to ask me to come on here and anything y'all need as far as coming back on or whatever. But can't thank y'all enough for having me.
Yeah, man, no problem. And best of luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep, that's Alex Milazzo, everybody. If you like hearing Alex's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedbacks, loves, likes, shares, you name it, we'll take it because we'll see you guys next week. We got episode 30 coming at you. And we're going to be talking Arkansas baseball with Cody Adcock and Hunter Holland. This has been the In Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We out.